The hard sell of someday. The problem I find with, convincing people of how important it is to be in great fucking shape, of how important it is to look after your health and fitness now, is that that's a someday thing. It's important, but not urgent. And that's the gap that most people have with this. That if we were to divide our lives up into how we spent our time, it is generally divided into urgent and important, important, not urgent, urgent and not important, and not urgent and not important. And yet, if we actually looked at how we dedicated our time, our effort, our money, our investments, what we spent and allocated a lot of our life to, generally I find it falls into a little bit of an urgent and important, a lot of urgent but not important, and sadly a lot of not important and not urgent. Because often the things that are important but not urgent require sacrifice, require effort, require doing work that, let's be realistic here, you don't particularly want to do. But you should because, it's important. But because there's no urgency attached to it, because there's no impending consequences to not doing it, for a lot of people, for a lot of men, that means it gets put off to tomorrow. Now, I find this a lot if you're in business. I find this a lot with health, that people will be like, that's a tomorrow problem. Right now, I'll do this, because you can also often then see instant return on the investment of time and effort. We'll often choose things that will deliver that instantly, and that makes sense. It's an instant feedback loop. I do X, I receive Y. Makes sense. Getting into great fucking shape, building discipline, grit, determination, those kinds of things is important as hell, but it's not urgent, and the feedback loop is really small. Really big, sorry. Not really small, really big. As in, you could do this and it can take 6 months to truly see the results. It can take longer to truly get to where you want to be in this life. It can take a really, really long time to get to the point where you want it to be. And that's a problem. And that delays people. And that throws people off because, you've got so much effort that has to be given. You have to give up so much stuff. You have to sacrifice so many things for the betterment of you. True. To do it properly. True. But it's going to be months before you see the feedback. There's often, and then in terms of if you wanted others to see the feedback too, to give you feedback on how well you're doing, that could be months on months, that could be 6 months, that could be 12 months. It could be the length of the loop to get the reward from effort is so grand that so many people struggle to actually commit to it. And that's why making your health and fitness such a massive priority is a struggle for a lot of people, because of that gap between effort and reward. But we need to shift that thinking. We need to shift our understanding of this and commit to, just doing the work. Commit to actually showing the fuck up and doing what is required. Because it's deadly fucking important. Like, beyond what you could possibly fathom. I don't think that there is anything that you could do that is going to have a greater impact on your life in a positive manner than getting into great fucking shape. Because everything compounds from there. Everything flows on from there. Everything gets better from doing that work, from committing to that. Everything after that improves once you make that first commitment. Once you make that first decision and you give effort and you learn that the reward will come. But so many struggle with that because, well, as I said, the gap is high. The gap between it is high. But you cannot put a price on health. You cannot put a price on fitness. You cannot put a price on the ability to do the things you want when you want it, when the situation arises. Especially if you have children. Especially, as an entrepreneurial father. Like, you need that shit. You are going to face, more things than you can imagine. You need to be in great shape. And it teaches you more than just the ability to be fit. It teaches you the skill of continuing to show up day in, day out, no matter what. It teaches you the skill of grit and fortitude and follow through and discipline and getting comfortable being uncomfortable. It teaches you, basically all the skills you need from life. And then on top of that, you have more confidence, you have more energy, you have more focus, you have more ability to show up and fucking deliver. You have the ability to withstand when shit doesn't go your way. You have the ability to withstand stress and discomfort. You have the ability to just take whatever life throws at you on the chin and keep fucking moving forward. You find that things that were extremely uncomfortable before aren't, because, you voluntarily get uncomfortable every single fucking day. It's part of demanding greatness. Yeah, it's a fitness program. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, it's going to completely transform your physical fitness. Absolutely. It is going to turn you into an unstoppable man. You're going to have a six-pack for the first time in your life. You're going to feel amazing. You're going to look amazing. All that kind of stuff. But what it is more than that is who you become along the way. The man that you become along that journey is what truly matters. The man you become undertaking something like demanding greatness, that's the gift. That's the thing that keeps on delivering. That's the thing that'll change your life. And as I said, it's important but not urgent. So people think that they can keep kicking it down the line, that they can keep delaying it, that they can keep putting it off. Look, you could turn this around at any point of your life. You can. But you shouldn't be delaying it. You should be trying to get in on this as soon as possible. I used this analogy the other day and I thought it was hilarious. But it's like getting in on Bitcoin, right? If you got in on Bitcoin when they were like 5 cents, then sold out when they were 100 grand, you'd be fucking loving life. It's the same thing. The sooner you get in, the cheaper it is, and the easier it is. The simpler it is to make this a reality. That the easier you can do this, the better off you'll be if you just commit to the process. If you can actually just, decide now. Because, as I said, you can do it at any point. There is no, cut off. You're like, I'm now 30, or I'm now 40, or 50, or whatever. It's now too late. No. You can get into great fucking shape at any point in your life. But the earlier you do it, the more you establish the habits, the more you become that man who demands greatness of himself, who does the work, the simpler it is, and the more ingrained it is. Because it's still going to be effort. No matter what point you do this, it is still going to be effort. It's still going to be a consistent process that will require you to keep showing the fuck up. Requiring you to well, overcome resistance and obstacles as you go through it. I was having this discussion with a guy in the comments the other day, and he was like, it's not that easy to work out every single day. No, it's fucking not. It's not easy, but it's necessary. It's required. The difference it'll make in your fucking life is astronomical. And we're talking about demanding greatness here. Yeah, of course there are going to be days where you're going to be like, what the actual fuck am I doing here? There are going to be days where you don't want a fucking bar of it. I have that regularly. I had that this morning. You know, my body was feeling a bit beat up today. My hip, my knee, my ankles, they're all a bit jammed up. And I had legs to do. I don't want a fucking bar of that. Due to circumstances, my training partner didn't show up this morning. I had all the excuses. I could have stayed in bed. My kids were happily playing by themselves today, which is a rare thing. Normally they want to come in and be snugglebugs. But they were off playing. They were happy. They were entertaining. They were playing great games together. I could have just stayed in bed this morning. It was tempting as hell. But I got up and I got the shit done. I got up and I pushed through it. It was uncomfortable. On top of that, it's boring. I'm doing rehab for my hip at the moment. It's the joy of constant progression is that you learn that your body wasn't functioning correctly. So I'm constantly learning new ways to progress so that I can be better. You know, it turns out my glute minimus is underdeveloped in comparison to my IT band. And now that I've corrected a lower back and hip issue, iliac-sacral issue, it's now causing me problems. So I keep progressing. Doesn't mean I stop. Doesn't mean the thing ends. It means we just change the game. We keep pushing forward. But I don't like rehab. I don't like doing those little movements. I don't like doing the little things that, well, need to be done. Those little rehab things, little micro movements. I feel like a Pilates girl, if I'm being fucking honest. I like to lift heavy and big weight and push it and grunt and sweat and crank the fucking music. That's what I like to do. But this is what's necessary. Important, not urgent. It is a requirement right now for me to be able to, well, show up as the best version of myself, to continue to progress forward, to continue to make sure that I can do anything I want at any moment. Because at the moment, this only flares up when I play basketball, or I run, or I sprint. That's a big enough deterrent, though. And it would be really easy to just be like, oh, well, you know what? I just won't do those things. I'll just pull back. But isn't that the whole point? Is the ability to do whatever we want. I don't want to be sidelined by injuries. I don't want to be sidelined by pain. I don't want to avoid things because I know that it'll hurt me. I want to be able to continue to do these things. My kids are only 3 and 4. I don't want there to be a point where I go, oh, Daddy can't do that with you because his knee hurts, his back hurts, his hip hurts, his whatever. No. I want to be able to do that shit. I want to be able to take it on. I want to be able to take on everything. And yeah, I carry a lot more niggling injuries than probably your average person because when I was young and stupid, remember, important, not urgent, I didn't take care of my body properly. In fact, I beat it up like a piece of meat. I just beat the shit out of it. Because, well, I could. I thought I was Superman. I was indestructible. Even when I took injuries, I had the ability to push through pain that just meant I kept playing. I kept pushing through. And now I'm reaping the rewards of those choices. Important, not urgent. So if you're younger, if you're in your 20s, fucking look after it. Listen to the old guys who are beat up to hell, who have learnt the lessons the hard way. Listen to them when they say look after your body. Listen to them when they say work on mobility. Listen to them when they say work on the the small boring movements. Listen to them. It'll be much easier to correct now. As I said before, if you can get it sorted now, before it becomes important and urgent, it becomes much fucking easier. Because the last thing you want is for health and fitness to move from the important not urgent category into the important urgent category. Because the second it does, it means you have fucked up. The second you actually have no more choice but to deal with that situation, to actually step up and address it, you have fucked up. Health and fitness should always stay in the important not urgent category. Because we don't want it to reach disease or injury or illness or sickness or whatever the fuck you want to classify it as. We don't want to reach that point. We want it to be that it's important, we know that it matters, and we're going to do the work now, and we're going to address it and correct it before it becomes such a large issue. That's where you want it to stay. Because that's when it's good. But it's like the concept of, if you ask a healthy man, what does he want? And he wants 1,000 different things. If you ask a sick man or a dying man what he wants, he only wants one thing. You can't get more time on this earth, but you can maximize the use of what you have. And so many people have this concept backwards, that they twist it to mean that they should just do whatever the fuck they want, that they should enjoy, and blow it all on alcohol and drugs and junk food, or, spend all the money, or just enjoy every possible frivolous desire that you have. No, it means you should maximize your time on this planet. It means you should make sure that you're present and in the moment with your family and your kids and your friends. It means that you should be looking after your health and fitness. It means you should be trying to build an empire. It should be that you are trying to lead by example. It means you should be utilizing the time to its best capacity. And that means doing the work. It means sacrificing now for the future. But sacrificing things that are unimportant. Those things that are not important and not urgent. That's what you should be sacrificing. Not the things that are important. Like quality time with your family. Like spending time on things that matter. Like building a legacy by leading by example. These things matter. And they matter now. You don't sacrifice things, you sacrifice the unimportant. The things that actually provide no value for you other than a chemical release in your brain. Junk food, alcohol, drugs, porn, frivolous spending, social media, TV, video games, these kinds of things. Those are the unimportant that you sacrifice for your future, for your family's future, to build a life, to build satisfaction, to build fulfillment. Those are the things that are important but not urgent, that must be worked on, that you must deliberately carve out time for. That, my friend, is how you build a life worth living. That, my friend, is how you build something that matters. And it starts with your health and fitness. If you are not in the best fucking shape possible and constantly working to be in even better shape so that you can do whatever you want with your life, then you are making a mistake. Then you are leaving shit on the table that you shouldn't be. So if you're ready to actually step up and start demanding greatness of your own life, then now is your moment. Get into demanding greatness. Let's completely revolutionize your fitness. Let's make you an unstoppable man. And let's help match who you see yourself as with the man you see in the mirror. Click the link in my bio and let's make that shit a fucking reality. So if you are ready to do that, click the link in my bio and let's make it happen. And I can't wait to see you there.